Alright, this is gonna be part one of the modeling of the 10M Mark V, which is gonna be interesting. So like this video if you will, and subscribe to our channel if you're new, because we're gonna do a lot of stuff. We're gonna do a lot of stuff like this in the future, and yeah, let's jump into it. So this is gonna be part one in the modeling of the this 10, which is a cool and a better version of the Sten submachine gun. And the combination between wood and metal is really amazing. So we're gonna start off, as you can see here, with a simple plane that we are gonna push and extend some of these vertices to the very end to cover the stock, which is actually the starting point that we're gonna start with to create this cool weapon. And now we're gonna try to move these vertices to according to the reference image. And I usually like to do this or start the modeling of each and every stock of the any kind of actually type of weapon like this, using not a plane but a cylinder. Using cylinders is also pretty useful, and if you can do this, it is gonna be fine as well. But if you want to keep things simple, you can just start with the plane, then extend the mesh to cover the rest of the areas that you need to cover to follow the reference image that we have. And now we're going to keep holding shift to extrude the edges. Okay, try to actually, this is gonna be where the two halves of this stock are gonna meet on the very top. Okay, good. We're gonna do the same thing. Before this, we're going to move some of these vertices up there just to match some of the areas that are bumping out of the stock, and they're not following that sweet and smooth curve. So we're gonna keep holding shift and extrude, push it down a little bit like this. Okay, fine. And we're gonna try to match the reference image by pushing these vertices to a closer place. Okay, now we need to change the alignment of these two lines that they're gonna define the edge, or the place where the two halves are gonna meet, and we're gonna of course use the symmetry modifier to create the second half of the stock. And this should give us a solid idea or a solid image, and it's gonna tell us exactly where these two halves are gonna meet and how we should create some of the geometry in this area. Of course, we need to respect the reference image that we have here, so we don't want things to be out of control. And I'm using the using a transparent material just to allow myself to see everything clearly on the other side. Okay, now we're gonna deal with this area in the bottom, and we're gonna try to we are going, as we said before, to try to kind of fix the area where the two helms are gonna meet in the bottoms or in the bottom part of the stock. That's why using some cylinder as a base for this type of modeling is gonna be beneficial, because you're not gonna waste a lot of time trying to position some of these line and vertices all the way. Okay, as you can see here, we are extruding this edge right there, and we are trying to go close this gap right there, and of course we're going to create some lines here, and we're gonna create a bridge, or we can just target weld some of these vertices to kind of create this alignment. We can just, or we can use an alignment tool quickly, and then we're gonna use weld, or we can just use target weld straight ahead, which is gonna work just fine. Okay, now we're gonna add some edges, as you can see here, just um, to follow the reference image, as you can see here, because this area is not completely straight. It is a little bit bent over there, and the end of the stock is a little bit detailed, so we have to respect that. Okay, we are selecting all the faces in here, and we're gonna keep holding shift and create a copy, of course, of this surface right there, and we're gonna detach it because we need it to be a separate entity from the stock, even though it is part of it. And we're gonna apply shell modifier to give it some thickness. And I find the shell modifier to be very useful, very useful, because it is a quick way to add thickness to flat surfaces, which is very handy most of the time. Okay, there might be a problem right there because I see some triangles and they're not supposed to be there. So, okay, let's do this again and convert it to poly. And as you can see here, there shouldn't be triangles actually because they're okay. Triangles should not exist right there because it doesn't make sense. Sometimes these unexpected things happen and we need to deal with them. Let's see this time. Convert to poly and just keep in mind that not everything I do is the right thing or the right way. This is my way for this moment. And even though I've done a lot of created a lot of models, and I've done a lot of work, I still, when I look back at my work, I still see that there are some improvement and some ways that I've done. I could have done my work better, because every time you do grow and every time you do challenge yourself, you're gonna see that you are gaining more perspective on how to do things better. All right, so I am in constant development like you guys. If you are learning 3ds Max for the first time, or you are learning how to create a weapon for the first time, it's kind of it's kind of a learning curve that you need to walk through. You don't learn it straight, and when you are you don't just learn it in a day or a month. And even when you spend a year learning how to model these things, you are gonna still on the learning curve, because these things never end. Learning is never is never over, because there are always some things you need to learn, and there are also people who know how to do things differently or better that you can and these people are going to teach you how to or how to do things better, or they're going to give you another perspective or another trick to do things faster or more efficiently, or they're gonna help you to avoid wasting a lot of time doing the same work for less amount of time. Okay, so now we are trying to work on this piece right here, which is an extension of the stock, which actually is gonna it's the place where the wood is gonna meet the metal. So we're gonna keep holding shift to actually extrude this area, and we're gonna detach it. Okay, now we are trying to fix some of the vertices that or some of the places that we didn't do quite well, and of course here we are trying to extrude the edge of this piece that we are creating here, because we need to extend it, and then we're gonna do the same thing right there on the as you can see here, the bottom area, and we're gonna select some of the faces or some of the polygons, and we're gonna extrude them, and then of course we are gonna do some edge extrude or just extrusion and follow the curve that you can see on the reference image, which looks like the letter U. Alright, we're trying to follow the shape that you can see here. Of course, you're going to use the border and keep holding shift to do or to perform the extrusion, the edge extrusion, of course. Okay, now we're working from the perspective, and this shape looks interesting, and the piece that we recreated there is gonna be a start for some of the other pieces that we are gonna create. For example, we're gonna use this cylinder um, to create another piece that is gonna be equally interesting. Convert this to the poly and push these vertices in place. Okay, now we are trying to use the same cylinder that we created before, and we're gonna use it to create the piece that is gonna be beside it. So let's see what we can do here. Sometimes figuring out what to do is the hardest thing, not the modeling itself. So we're gonna align this piece to the center of the other piece to make sure that the two pieces are perfectly aligned. Okay, good. So delete this face right there and extrude it to the inside. And of course we need to align this piece right there to the other ones, of course, because they need to. And we're gonna push it back to where it belongs. This area is a little bit complicated because it has multiple pieces that are pushed right there in the same time together. And to see what's going on clearly, you need to gather some reference images for these 10MK to get an idea. Okay, we delete that part right there because it is important to yeah, now we're starting to see what's going on here. And of course this area here need to be extruded out a little bit and pushed in this direction just in case. And actually this was part 1 of this 10MK modeling tutorial. I hope you learned something here and there, so subscribe if you're new, and yeah, I'll see you in the next part.